China Airlines, the airline that's not from China, is one that I've never personally flown before, and I think there's a good reason for that. Because when you're flying to Asia from Europe or from Australia, you tend to default to some of the bigger airlines like Singapore, Cathay Pacific, Qantas. But Taiwanese-based China Airlines apparently offers an option which YouTubers seem to really like. Well, today I've decided to try out China Airlines, so I'm flying from here in Melbourne through to Taipei on one of their A350s on a night flight, transiting in Taiwan, and then picking up another A350 flying through to London Heathrow on a day flight, so I can show you what the China Airlines experience is like, what it's like inside business class on their A350s, but also to answer the big burning question, which is why is there a piano here in Melbourne's International Airport? If you are flying with China Airlines, you can actually get access to the Harbour Lounge here at Melbourne's airport, which a lot of other airlines do share, and I have featured on the channel before. But you can also go into the Aspire Lounge downstairs here on the same level as the Qantas Business Class Lounge. I'm now in the Aspire Lounge. I was handed a menu when I checked in. I was told that there's an a la carte service in about 10 minutes time it starts. There's also a little buffet, a pretty small one with some hot food that you can help yourself to. There was also a coffee machine, but all it seemed to do was just constantly spit out hot water at me. But I guess it is the evening, so to be honest, I might just grab a quick drink. For a long time, China Airlines carried a reputation that many aviation enthusiasts still remember and refer to today. And when you start looking through the list of aircraft that the airline has retired over the years, one thing does quickly stand out. Quite a few aircraft weren't actually retired because they simply got old. Some of them were lost in some fairly serious incidents. Now, to be fair, one of those tragic incidents, Flight 825 back in the 1970s, that was caused by terrorism. But when you look at many of the other major accidents throughout the airline's history, the incident reports point towards problems much closer to the airline itself, pilot error or maintenance failures. And that's part of what makes China Airlines such an interesting airline to talk about today, because as with everything in aviation, it's all about how you learn from those incidents in the past and how an airline responds and what it actually does when its reputation has been damaged in the past. Okay, very quick first impressions. I've just sat down in the seat. I've just been served a welcome drink. We were given a hot towel when I sat down as well. They boarded the whole aircraft pretty quickly. The air bridge has gone away and we're about to start our pushback. And I have to say, this seat that I'm in at the moment, I really like for a couple of reasons, not least of which is this Pokemon design here. You've also got Pikachu on your pillow as well, your little sleepy pillow. It is also incredibly private, so from where I am at the moment, I can see the top of people's heads, but I can't look across directly and see anybody, and therefore I don't think anybody can look in and see me as well. And as I've talked about on this channel before, one of the key things that I look for in a business class seat is a 1-to-1 configuration, which this A350 is, so you've got window access and direct aisle access as well, and privacy. The first impressions of the seat, really, really positive. How do I turn that on?
Cabin crew complete safety check. It is our pleasure to welcome Dynasty Flight members, Scotty members, and all guests. We will provide you with meal service shortly. Breakfast will be served 2 hours, 30 minutes prior to landing.
The seatbelt sign follows similar operating procedures to what I'm more used to with Australian Airlines, which is the moment we climbed out of Melbourne and we're above the clouds. It's pretty clear air out here at the moment. It's quite cold air, so it's nice and stable. And the seatbelt sign went off pretty much at about 7,000 feet. My snacks have got Pikachu on them as well. The appetizer is here. It looks really good. Look, let me show you what we got. Really nice bowl of salad, big bowl of salad, bread. Ooh, warm bread. And looks like the kind of avocado salad-y thing. And then for my main meal, with the vegan option here, I've got some cauliflower, green beans, a couple of purees. I think that's pumpkin, tomato maybe. I'm kind of regretting the fact that I demolished my warm bread early on in the piece, because I would like that to mop this up. And for dessert, I actually have desserts. So I've got this really nice looking chocolate cake actually with some fruit, and then another bonus bowl of fruit. If you don't have the vegan option, you get cheese with this as well. Over the last 2 decades, China Airlines has worked hard to restore its reputation that was damaged by those serious safety incidents I mentioned earlier on in this video. And one of the key ways it did this was actually to look at how it does its pilot recruitment and training. Historically, the airline had relied heavily on former military pilots, Republic of China Air Force pilots who were then brought into China Airlines to fly their commercial aircraft. But China Airlines began shifting towards civilian-trained pilots and developed its own cadet-trained programs focused more heavily on modern airline procedures and, importantly, on crew resource management. And as they say on their website, they've maintained their IOSA certification for over 10 years now. Now, just quickly, if you're not familiar with IOSA, it's actually the IATA Operational Safety Audit. So it's like an acronym within an acronym, but it's a program run by IATA that audits how airlines manage things from pilot training through to maintenance procedures, flight operations, safety reporting systems, and independently audits them and publishes the results of those audits every couple of years to make sure that airlines continue to meet international safety standards. And all that work by China Airlines seems to have really paid off, because not only have they had that IOSA safety certification for the last 12 years, China Airlines has not had a fatality on an aircraft since Flight 611 back in 2002. Breakfast time, which I've been served. There's some fritters, some asparagus, mushrooms, tomatoes, bread, warm. Both of them are warm. I'll give you a proper seat tour when we're on the next flight, the day flight from Taipei across to Heathrow, because you're going to be able to see more. But so far I've been really impressed by this seat. It's very comfortable. I slept very well. I mean, it's a business class seat, so it's very luxurious, but it's a little bit narrow at the end. I'm 6'2" and my feet kind of were touching the end and my head was kind of touching the top, so if you're any taller than that you will feel a little bit squashed in, and the footwell's not particularly wide compared to some other business classes, but the seat is very comfortable, it's very soft. And I really liked, honestly, it's a small thing, but the sleep mask that they give you in the amenity kit, this kind of silky one, is really nice. So we've got about an hour and a half to go before we get into Taipei. Now, obviously, I've come out of Melbourne today from Australia, but China Airlines do fly out of Melbourne, Brisbane and Sydney, and the aircraft that goes between Taipei and Brisbane actually goes on to fly to Auckland as well. And they operate to a few locations in Europe as well, obviously London, where I'm going to be going tomorrow or today, later today, and across to lots of destinations in Asia and a few in North America as well. But what I do find quite interesting about China Airlines is their fleet. So they've got just over 80 aircraft in the fleet at the moment, but there's another 78 on order, so they're really looking to expand over the next few years. They've got obviously A350-900s, which is what I'm on at the moment, but they've also ordered the new longer range A350-1000s. Those A350-1000s are going to be replacing some of the older 777-300ERs that China Airlines have got, and they're also getting in some new Boeing 787 Dreamliners, which are going to be replacing some of the A330-300s that they have currently operating at the moment. So it's a fairly decent sized fleet, but it's going to be growing a lot over the next few years, and growing a lot with some quite modern, capable long-haul aircraft. They did also, which really made my heart happy, operate 747s as passenger aircraft. Then they retired some of them from passenger work and flew the 747s as part of their cargo operation. But sadly, you can't fly on a China Airlines 747 anymore. So yeah, an expanding fleet, a very varied fleet. But as the years go on, it's going to be a very modern and capable fleet. The very nice cabin crew just came around as they're getting the cabin ready for landing and handed this out. And at first I wasn't sure if it was like a packet of cigarettes, which it kind of looks like, or whether it was chocolates, but I think it's plane cards.
Please return to your seat. Fasten your seatbelt. Bring the seat back upright. Put your tray table and footrest in place. For your safety, please do not use the lavatory until the fasten seatbelt sign is turned off.
Dear passengers, welcome to Taiwan Taoyuan International Airport.
One thing to note if you are coming through the transit area is a lot of things appear to be shut at this time of day. So if you are thinking that you might get some food here or do some shopping as you're transiting through onto another flight out of Taiwan, just bear in mind if you're here at 7 in the morning, not a lot, as you can see around me, not a lot appears to be open right now, but I am going to see if the China Airlines lounge is open, because I do believe that one opens at 4 o'clock in the morning. So for people who are transiting, if you are flying business and you want to go to the lounge, at least that should be open. And saying all that, 7 o'clock on the dot, I think that's when the shop's open. So if you're here at 6:59, don't expect a lot. 7:01, totally different story. Good morning. Thank you. How are you?
Yeah, good afternoon.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Quick breakfast stop in the lounge. I know I had breakfast on the plane just now, but quick second breakfast stop in the lounge. I believe that this is tomato juice, just based on the big tomato on the front. Using Google Translate, I did confirm it was in fact tomato juice that I was drinking, but because it contained some room hot book eggplant, I didn't really enjoy it, so I decided to take a look around the lounge instead. It's a nice quiet space to hang in during transit, but I've got to be honest, it's not particularly impressive. The food options are quite basic, there's not a lot of room inside, I couldn't find any charging ports in the area that I was sitting in, and you are down a set of stairs, so there's not a lot of natural light or any airport views to take in whilst you're waiting between flights. So I decided to leave the lounge, and the Starbucks that was closed before was now open, so I grabbed a coffee and discovered that here in this cafe area you did have great views over the airport. So I did a bit of plane spotting, I received some good vibes, thanks Starbucks coffee, and woke myself up before the next leg, which was the long one, our day flight across to London. And now boarding my second flight, another A350 from Taipei across to London Heathrow. This one should take us about 14 and a bit hours, depends on the winds.
Hello, welcome.
Hello.
Okay, sitting here. Go to the window seat.
As I settled into my seat, the lady came up and actually asked me if I wanted to have the seat cover put onto the seat, and I said no. I then had a little welcome drink, an orange juice, I got myself comfortable in the seat, and then I noticed that everybody else in the cabin was having the seat cover put on their seat, and all of a sudden I felt really left out and a little bit jealous, so I asked her if I could get it put on, and she did it for me. It's just a little thing, but you know, it makes the seat a little bit more comfortable, and now I'm not the only person sitting in the cabin without their seat cover on the seat, so strong recommend if you get asked to put the cover on the seat, say yes. Alright, let me give you a tour of this A350 seat with a couple of features that I think actually make it quite special compared to some other ones. Starting with, we have a little lamp here on the right hand side, which I showed you on the previous flight. You can turn it on, changes dimming settings. First little thing that opens up here contains your amenity kit, and that's it. Then the next compartment along is where you've got your slippers. Better. You've also got a bottle of water, and all the charging ports are in here as well. So you've got USB-A, another USB-A, and an international charging port for things like your laptop. You've also got your little removable device, which is the handheld version to operate the screen if you want, but the screen's touchscreen, you don't have to use this. Also a mirror, little light just behind your head here for reading. And then just to your side, you've got a little adjustable armrest, which goes up and down, which is quite nice for resting your arm. That actually also contains your headphones. And then in front of you, in-flight entertainment screen, like I said, this is touchscreen. I've obviously got it set to the moving map at the moment, but my favourite part of this whole seat is this tray table, which you can bring down, obviously open up into a full table. But if you are eating and you still want to get out, but you don't want to like maneuver around your table, what you can do is you can just find, where's the handle? There it is. You can move the whole table up to this position, lock it there, and then you can get out of your seat whilst you've still got your tray table here. You don't need to wait for the food service to be finished before you can actually get up and leave your seat. And when you come back down again, you just release the handle. Because this is quite a long flight now, this leg between Taiwan and London, it's just under 15 hours in total. A lot of that's to do with actually having to go around Chinese airspace, but I'll talk about that again maybe a bit later on in this video. But because it's a longer flight, the meal service isn't served immediately after you take off. They kind of like ease you into it. So we've got this canapé first of all. It's a little fancy tomato with some cucumbers, a little garnish. It's very fancy. So I know it's not entirely my fault, but I feel a little bit responsible for potentially breaking something on the aircraft here. I told a member of the cabin crew that my iPhone wasn't charging because the port wasn't giving out power. So they said, well, what we can do is restart the in-flight entertainment system. And I was like, fine, go ahead and do that. But I think that's happened for the entire aircraft. Everybody's screen, at least here in business class, has just gone completely black. It's been like that for the last sort of 15 minutes. I feel like I should apologize for that. We're still not doing anything. my sort of lunch, I think. It's not really a breakfast now because it's around midday, and it looks really good. This is the appetizer course. I've got like a little zucchini, bulgur wheat, little salad here. Not one bread, but two warm breads, and a little side salad as well. Yum. There are two really interesting things that I found about the routing of our flight path today. Firstly, when you're flying from Taiwan to London, if you look at the straightest Great Circle line that you can draw between the two, as you can see, it goes through China. However, because of the political tensions between Taiwan and China at the moment, Chinese-based aircraft normally don't fly through Taiwanese airspace, and Taiwanese-based aircraft, conversely, don't fly through Chinese airspace. There is a small corridor between China and Taiwan called the M503 corridor, which does allow traffic to pass between the two, but unless it's a direct China to Taiwan or Taiwan to China flight, they don't generally fly through each other's airspace. And that's one reason why this second flight actually takes so long. You can see from our flight path here that we actually go all the way around the southern part of Chinese airspace before eventually turning northwest and heading up towards Europe. There are of course other considerations like terrain, which brings me to the second interesting part about our flight path, which is that we're flying just south of the Himalayas, and as we approach Kathmandu, out of the right hand side of the aircraft from my window, I could see some incredible views like this. I've joked around a little bit on YouTube in the past about how I'm a bit of a frustrated mountaineer, but I really am fascinated by mountain climbing documentaries, and I think, looking out the window, I'm not 100% sure because it's hard to identify it from this distance, but is this Everest out here? I know that from the southern side of the Himalayas, that's the shape that Everest should be. I don't know whether it's confirmation bias because I've never seen it with my own eyes before, so I really hope it is. But if you know, can you tell me in the comments, is that Everest? I think it is, and if so, that's the first time I've ever seen it with my own eyes, albeit from a long way away. But wow, it's amazing, isn't it? We have 6 hours and 4 minutes to go now until we get to England, and I'm a little bit bored, I'll be honest. The staff are great. They've been walking up and down and asking if I want a snack. I had a coffee earlier as well. But yeah, this is quite a long flight. One more hour to go until we get there. I've not done too much the last sort of couple of hours. I fell asleep for a little bit, watched a few things on the TV, obviously had a little bit more food as well. But I have been thinking about this long leg, this 15-hour leg from Taiwan to England, and if I was flying between Europe and Australia again, would I go via Taiwan if I had the choice? There's actually two answers to that. First of all, would I fly with China Airlines again? Well, yes, the experience I had on this flight was very, very good. The staff are very attentive. I really like the 121 business class configuration on the A350. The food I had was great and everything ran without a hitch. I, for one, don't associate the brand issues that China Airlines had in the past with the China Airlines brand of today. And if I had the chance to fly them again in the future, I honestly would with no hesitation. But would I fly them again on this route? Well, no. Well, actually, maybe, and it depends, because the thing is, I actually got this flight at a pretty good price. If you look at pricing for airlines flying between Australia and the UK, China Airlines generally, from what I've found, does come out as one of the less expensive options. But it is a long way to go. 9 hours with a 3-hour layover and then another 15 on top of that. Just having to fly around Chinese airspace, that kind of extra bit of time that it adds on to the journey. The second leg coming out of Australia being 15 hours is quite punishing, and I'm very lucky that I'm doing it in business class. If you're doing this flight in economy, I can imagine it would be pretty hard, especially that last sort of 4 or 5 hours of the flight, when you would have been there if you would have been flying through somewhere like Singapore or Hong Kong. But with the airspace restrictions in the Middle East and China at the moment, and because you can get a very good product with China Airlines at a good price, then you can start to understand why the slightly longer flight time might actually be worth it. But it's nice to be back in Europe again and about to descend into my old hometown. I'm really grateful for all your support on this channel. Thanks very much for watching. Do give us a like if you enjoyed this video, and hopefully I'll see you on the next flight.